Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. We're back with you, Tom Gresham. It's Gun Talk. We're going to keep talking about guns, and, well, actually, I'm just going to keep talking about guns, period. Not until anything, because I never stop. That's what we do all day long. People, it's so funny when I started doing this radio show 28 years ago. I had people in the radio business say, well, how could you talk about guns for an hour? That's hilarious. Okay, we're at 3 hours and been doing it for 28 years and haven't slowed down in the slightest. There's just so much to cover. If you want to be a part of this, give me a call, 866-TALK-GUN. As you know, I've been carrying a gun pretty much daily for decades now. Funniest thing, I was just clearing out some stuff. I've got to share this with you. Let me pull it out. Okay, there, I got it. Just found my father, his concealed carry permit, issued in 1997. So, yeah, I've been carrying a long time. And one of the challenges, and we talk about this a lot, is how do you carry, where do you carry, how do you conceal, holsters, belts, all the rest of it, clothing. And we always talk about that. For men, it's a challenge. For women, it's even more of a challenge. And part of that is, you want something that's comfortable. You want something that conceals. You want something that works, something that's durable. And more, where I have gotten to, and this is where we're going to get to in just a sec, I'm thinking that maybe I don't want to wear the clothes, particularly the pants I've been wearing, that look tactical. I mean, they're comfortable. They got big pockets everywhere, but does it call attention to yourself? I don't know. I don't know if that's a real worry or not. Well, I'll tell you what, we got somebody we can talk to about it. Joining me right now is Dan Groce from Vertx. Dan, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
So we get together at a SIG event. We're at the range at SHOT Show. When I come over and we start shooting the breeze, it's like I'm thinking, yeah, we're going to talk for a couple of minutes. And like 20 minutes later, you and I are still talking, and we're talking guns, and we're talking clothes, and we're talking packs, and it was just fascinating. We had a good old time.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the most engaging conversations, I had the entire week of SHOT Show, even after, because I think we were day one at the SIG range day when we met.
Exactly right. And Vertx, for those who don't know, VERTX, makers of clothing, makers of packs, makers of accessories, and some other stuff. Well, start off, back up, and okay, who is Vertx and where did it come from?
Vertx is a brand of a company called Fetchheimer. Our sister brand is Flying Cross. So we make about 2/3 of the nation's law enforcement uniforms. We manufacture Navy whites, Marine dress blues, and we just won the Army Green Service uniform contract just a couple of years ago. So
you're
on
big.
top of all, yeah, we are. We've been in business 185 years, maybe 186 years. Yeah. So we started Vertx about 11 years ago, and we manufacture basically two verticals. We do have an overt vertical for uniforms, multicam stuff, CBP, BORTEC, all your Border Patrol, SWAT uniforms. And then on the low visibility side, which is where I work and specialize, we manufacture low visibility tactical apparel, pants, shirts, backpacks, and different types of sling bags. We manufacture these for both men and women, and it is a constant refinement as, what I like to call modern tactical application changes. The days of the uniformed soldier kind of have long gone, and for years we've seen agencies working in anti-terrorism, low visibility surveillance. We've seen everything change, and guys need to be lower and lower profile. We actually refer to it as no profile.
So you just can't tell at all what somebody's carrying.
That's the idea. If you're a fan of Vertx, obviously you can, if you study the product long enough, anything can be made.
You can spot it, sure.
Right, but the things that we do are almost no branding, or what we call scatological branding. It's very invisible. There's just hints at it. Nobody wants to buy a product that's completely unbranded. but it is a professional use product, and so we act accordingly, right? We need to make sure the end users, whether civilian or professional, can maintain a lower profile that they're searching for.
Well, in other words, I mean, you don't have a label on it that shouts tactical, hey, I'm carrying a gun kind of a thing.
No, and as time has gone on, there's no visible MOLLE on our products. We design our products to blend in with the more kind of granola, crunchier outdoor brands.
Right.
We study their colors. We look at like what they have coming out, and we look at their design cues. And we're not trying to steal from these companies, but we're trying to blend in. So we manufacture our like a bag, for instance, will come in 4 colors. 2 of those will be urban environment, blacks and grays. And then the other 2 will be more outdoor. So you'll have like canopies, which is a green, different shades of blue, maybe some oranges here and there, some burnt reds. So depending on where you live,
it's kind of like if Patagonia wasn't anti-gun, they might make some of this stuff.
Correct. And it's funny because Patagonia does make uniforms, and they do issue, uniforms in higher tier parts of the military.
Interesting.
But publicly, companies like the North Face, Patagonia, Arc'teryx will say things and do things that don't necessarily, line up with their actions.
All right, so give me an idea. I'm looking at your website, and for those who want to follow along, it's Vertx, VERTX.com. I'm looking at like men's pants, and you don't have. It's like I'm looking and going, how can you carry anything? I don't see big cargo pockets on these things.
So it's funny you say that. All of our pants share a very similar DNA. Usually, there's your classic side pockets with a little stash pocket. There's your back pockets, but we also will add in yoke pockets that are great for a cell phone or an AR-15 magazine. There are little, there's labels and things that look like things, but they serve different purposes. There's plenty of pockets.
I don't even know if you want to talk about some of the little hidden pockets and what they're for.
Well, that's what we kind of gotta gate some of the information. Yeah, because from a tactical, some of the tactical the things that we can talk about are we use a product called 37 Vibe, and we market it as Vapor Core, and it allows our end user. It's more of a core temperature regulation technology.
Okay.
It moves vapor in and out of the garment. Well, it will keep vapor in or exhaust it if it needs to, and then dry it off quickly. You see this in other products, but ours works a little differently as we try to treat it as a core temperature regulation. The other thing we do is range of motion. Range of motion, whether you're going hands-on, if you're a very physical, athletic person. So we do lots of gussets, lots of stretch. We want to make sure they're nice and comfortable. We do plenty of abrasion testing.
Yeah, they're not going to bind up on you when you're moving around.
Correct. Even in our shirts, you'll find that there are gussets, like in the armpits, for instance. So when you press out with a rifle or a handgun, when it's just a shirt you buy from the store that's a button up, you always find it's gonna bind over top of the shoulder.
Yes.
Right. Ours don't do that. Plus, they have stretch in them, so it's a good balance.
When I was talking with you, I got the overwhelming sense that there's a very interesting cadre of people who come up with the ideas for this, and these are people who actually go places and do things. Am I wrong here?
No.
I didn't think so.
We have a great team. We are tied in every aspect, in every agency, just because of the tenure of our company. We just have access to feedback that I think a lot of brands don't, and they don't necessarily value. We try to collect all the data and focus on what we believe is achievable and what is truly going to make a difference, rather than every guy's got a different opinion about we should do this or we should do that. And
right.
We have to tune out the noise and focus on the important things. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I tell you what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get you hold on. I'm going to take a quick break here, Dan, and then when we come back, I want to talk about a trend that a lot of people are scratching their heads about, but there's something going on here, and that is the idea of a sling bag or a backpack that is tactical, functional, doesn't shout, military, and what you would do with that. What's going on? Because this is a real thing these days. We're talking with Dan Groce from Vertx, if you will, Vertx, Vertx.com. Be right back with more gun talk. We're talking with Dan Groce from Vertx. I got it right this time, Dan.
That's right.
Question for you. You guys have a complete line of packs and sling bags, and I look at these, and I've been watching this thing come along over the last few years, and some people say, well, what's the deal with people wanting those to carry, if you will, an SBR or a folding stock AR or something? And then you look at the news and you think, that's not paranoia, that's just part of being prepared.
I think that as society is falling apart, or appears to be falling apart, concerned citizens, law enforcement, everybody needs a way to, carry what they need, whether that's a PCC, a carbine, a handgun, medical and ammunition. The backpacks really allow us to do one thing, which is layer our lines of defense, right?
Talk about that.
Right. So I don't strictly carry off body, and we don't actually encourage anybody to carry completely off body. I think that that's a misnomer with our brand.
Okay.
What our clothes are really designed around carrying on body. But then, whether it's medical, ammunition, communications, whether that's a high Terra or a Baofeng, you need to have that ability to keep your layers and lines of defense organized so that you can access them quickly and easily when you need to. It could be something as simple as this is your backpack that goes to work, right?
Right.
They're armor capable, and we have two different manufacturers that we work with. So there's armor specific to each bag, and you can get that armor in different ballistics. So whether you think that you're going to be facing a normal threat level, like let's say pistols, or if you're going into a harsher environment and you need rifle rated, that's all available now.
And these are panels that just slide right into your pack.
They do. And if you own a regular carrier or you've been in the military, you'll see that it's very similar in operation. We want everything to be kind of standardized. So we don't want to be completely foreign when you open this thing up. We should be able to open it up in front of you, using our tactigami accessories, being able to layer out all of your EDC items, your medical, keep things organized. The armor slides right in. You put your laptop in it. If you're carrying a rifle for, self-defense, or you're carrying it for work, there are ways to keep that guy situated in the bag now. The laptop sleeves actually peel out, so they're adjustable. So whether you have a short gun, a long gun, or a bigger laptop, everything is now modular. I think that that's what's really interesting. The inside is also very high contrast with red zippers, and we use.
Oh, good. It's not all
mesh.
Black in there.
No, because things happen when it's dusk or dark, and being able to PID things in the bag is very important, right? Nobody wants to be fishing around for a tourniquet or something important like a magazine when they really need it, right?
Yeah, because when you need that, you need it really bad. You need it right now.
Right, and sometimes SWAT Jesus isn't dropping out of the sky. So
there you go, exactly right. And the other thing that's nice, and you mentioned this earlier, is that a lot of the bags you see now, they're like all flat dark earth, tan with Molly all over them. Yours don't look like that. These look like a backpack or a sling bag that a bicycle messenger might be carrying.
Right. We do basically two types of bags, which are sling bags, are single strap, and then backpacks, which are, two straps. Mm-hmm. They come in everything from a more classic East Pack kind of look, to things that are more higher speed that might be mistaken for Arc'teryx. Now, we share a very specific DNA. Those bags that I tore open 180 degrees?
Right.
There are plenty of people trying to copy, but they're making mistakes, branding and whatnot. So we're really the true, I don't know, we're the people that are doing it for real.
You're doing the R&D for the other companies.
Well, no matter, look, the guy who runs Vertx is probably one of the smartest guys I've met in the industry, and I came to him and, had made a complaint about the copycats. And he goes, it's just better to be chased than be chasing.
Well, there you go. That sounds like a very enlightened approach. So people want to know more about what you're doing. The website, obviously, Vertx, vertx.com. You got a lot of videos there as well on how to use them, because it's one thing to get like one of these bags, it's another thing to figure out, how do I load it up? What do I put in it? What do I do with this thing?
Right. We try to create content, especially for YouTube, for our end users, whether they're professionals or not, so they understand the concept of the product. The product is complex by nature. Especially if you weren't a professional and you're a civilian trying to figure it out, it can be intimidating. We understand that, so we want to make sure that we can help you be prepared by getting you spun up on how this thing goes together and how it is, how it can be applied in the field.
Oh, and one thing we didn't mention, but it's important, and just for people to put in their heads, is when you have a pack like this, having a source of hydration in there can be really important.
Totally. We have pass-throughs. It's a big thing you'll see throughout everything, which, whether you're passing through a comms wire or you're passing through a hose for a hydration bladder. You'll see at the top of a lot of our bags, they got a little Velcroed shut hole that you can pop open and slip your guy through. And, of course, we have keepers along the strap. So if you have any type of, whether it's Osprey, whether it's Camelback, our bags are cross-compatible with all of those hydration bladders.
Okay, very cool. Well, and it's an interesting brand, very high quality, and incredible amount of thought that has gone into these. And when we had our conversation, I just kept getting, blown away by how much detail was into all of your products.
Well, thank you. We work relentlessly on it. And it's a constant refinement, and we have a pretty small team of true believers that go out and spend time with professional end users in the field, so we can constantly refine these things and make it better for our customers.
There you go. Hey, Dan, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And I look forward to getting together with you again. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Absolutely, Tom. Thank you so much for having me on and giving me the opportunity to share Vertx with you.
Absolutely. You take care. All right. Cool stuff. If you get a chance, check it out. I was just knocked out at how much thought went into a lot of this, how many details there were. And I kept having those, Intot, I never thought of that moments as they're going through. And it's kind of like when you take your first real defensive shooting class and you go, wow, never thought of that. And wow, never thought of that. Well, that's because there are people who do nothing but think about that. That's their world. And then you go take advantage of that. Here's a question for you. Do you now, have you ever, or would you ever consider carrying a long gun in a backpack when you're out and about? And obviously you wouldn't have to be carried it when you're out and about. You could have it stashed in your vehicle as your go bag. But there are now, and like I look at the Brownells folding stock ARs, there are a lot of folding stock guns out there that will fit into these. And of course, if you've got one of these little pistol carbines, those will work. If you've got, we'll find out what the word is on stabilizing braces. That is up in the air right now with ATF, and we're challenging that as well. See where we end up with that. I don't know, it's just an interesting idea. I'm just curious if you ever have done that, if you ever thought you might. On the one hand, I think, is that just too much paranoia? And then go, the flip side of that is always, I know I'm paranoid. I just don't know if I'm paranoid enough. Because you can sure see, you don't have to go very far in the news to see stories where you think, man, I would have my pistol there, but there are situations where you think, I would really much rather have a long gun to take care of a problem like that. Or to fight your way out of a situation, or to have medical supplies with you, or have hydration, or have communications gear, or have extra ammo. And then there's the idea of having a plate in your bag Too much? I don't know. It is until you need it. It's like everything else, right? It is until you need it. And then when you need it and you have it, it's not too much at all. You wish for more. So, I don't know. Just interesting thoughts. I love talking with these guys who think about this stuff. They're working way out there on the edge. And you don't have to go as far out as they are, the professionals who are working there. But we can sure take advantage of some of that stuff, and that's what we often do. Number is 866-TALK-GUN. We're open lines. Love to hear your range reports. I'm Tom Gresham. Gun Talk will be returning.